Alright, so this is my first video blog, and it took me a while to actually figure out what I wanted to do. I got a whole list of topics, but I thought the first one I should do should be one that's, close to my heart. One that I actually have experience with, because I'm going to talk about first date etiquette, and how you're supposed to act on a first date, and how most people don't know what you're supposed to do on a first date, including me. And it's just really funny. So it's like you go on a date with this person, I don't know if it's a blind date or not, but like you get to the restaurant, say you're going to dinner, alright, and you get to the restaurant, and the first thing you do is you sit down at the table, and you're sitting there and you're like, okay, got to start a conversation. So you start a conversation with this person, and you don't even know what you're talking about. You're just kind of trying to make stuff up to impress them or whatever, and then they bring the menu over. Or heaven forbid the waitress doesn't bring your menu over, and you guys just have to sit there in like that awkward silence for a little while, kind of like trying to feel each other out and figure out what you're supposed to talk about. Like, how was your day? Like you don't know what to say. You make small talk. So she brings the menu over, and you're sitting there, and then the topic automatically switches to, what are you going to eat? And then the real decisions come into play, because it's like, oh, you don't want to get the $17 steak and seem like, you're bougie or whatever, and you also don't want to get like the $3 salad, because you don't want the person to think that you have like an eating disorder or something like that, or you have issues eating in front of people. That's the worst. I'll go on about that later. But so you usually end up getting like some sellout food, like the chicken fingers or like the chicken Alfredo or something, like stuff you really can't go wrong with, like stuff that pleases everybody, but doesn't make you look like a complete slob. So it's like you end up getting this food that you don't really want, and you're trying to figure out like what conversations to have, and you never really know what to talk about. Like you don't want to over talk and make them think like, oh man, this person won't shut up and I'm never going to get a word in edgewise, like, and you also don't want to not talk enough, because then you're going to make them think that you're not interested, or that you're just dull as a piece of wood, and like they should just move on with their lives because this relationship is going to be boring, So it's like all this stuff that you're trying to keep in mind, and like you really need to just fly under the radar, but you don't know how to do that, because you're still dealing with like the fact that you're on this first date with this person, you don't really know them yet, you're not comfortable yet, and all you keep thinking about is, what are they thinking about me? What are they thinking about me? What are they thinking about me? Do I have food in my teeth? And you're so scared like the whole time that you're at this date, and you're just not relaxed at all, and it's so awkward. And it's like, inevitably, when I'm on a date, the guy will come out of his mouth with something that's, like, never come up in conversation before. Like, something that really should have been, like, in the greeting. Or, like, came with a warning label or something like that. Like, this one date I went on, dude started popping up with, like, all these miscellaneous kids that he never mentioned before. And I'm like, what? You have a kid in North Carolina? How old are they? 4? Oh, okay, cool. And it's like, at that point, I kind of just wanted to, like, fold up the napkin, put the fork and knife on the table, get up and say, it's been real, But, like, you can't really do that, when it come off as rude or whatever. So I kind of sat through the whole date, and it just went downhill from there. But it's like, some of the dudes, like, they just come out their mouth with all this stuff, and it's just like, what? Like, you really should have mentioned this, like, from Jump Street. Like, you came out left field with this, like, when we're on the date. Like, I'm already committed to you for, like, at least an hour, And it's just like, you're stuck there. You can't just get up and leave. So you're sitting there and you're eating or whatever, and like maybe you're actually enjoying yourself, and like you're actually talking about stuff, and you're trying to stay away from religion and politics and all the conversations that they tell you you're not supposed to talk about, although they're boring and you wouldn't want to talk about them anyway. So you're sitting there and you're talking, and then like if you're lucky and you're smart like me, you sit on the side where you can see the waitress coming at you. You know what I mean? So you can kind of tailor your conversation, and like you don't get embarrassed when she shows up and you're in the middle of a sentence and you're like, oh, So the worst part of the date, inevitably, always, is when they bring the check, because they bring the check over and everything is going good, because by that time you're through dinner, you're thinking about dessert, like you're actually a little bit more comfortable with them, you may have had a laugh or two, things have relaxed a little bit, you're a little bit more at ease, and then they bring the check over and it hikes you right back up to nervous again, because you're like, oh man, like, should I reach for it, should he reach for it, like, you know what I mean? And like, you never know, like, you don't want to be the first one to reach forward and think that, oh, she's super independent and she's going to be paying for our dates and this, that, and the third, because then the guy's going to get spoiled thinking that you're always going to do that. And guys, like, you want to reach for it, you know what I mean? But you also want to see if the chick is going to be cool and be like, maybe I can go half and half, But, like, us as girls, we don't want to be like, oh, we on a date with me and you should be paying for it and this, that, and the third and blah, blah, blah. You don't want to be all ignorant or whatever, but, like, you also don't want to be, like, walked all over either. So you got to find a happy medium with the check, too. But see, if you're smart, like me, and I figured this out, you sit on the side of the table where you can see the waitress coming. So when you see her coming with the check and you acknowledge her, you be like, all right, cool. So you just get up and be like, I got to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. So it's like you skip out to the bathroom, right? And then when you come back, you sit down. Either he's sitting there pissed at you, or, you come back and the situation is resolved. But either way, you got a 50-50 shot at getting out of there without having an awkward conversation of who's taking the check. So I figured that out. But it's so funny because, like, you're sitting there and it's like, as soon as they bring the check over, everything's going great, and then it's just like, And it's like you get that one split second where everything in the room freezes. And it's only for 1 second, but between the two of you, it feels like forever. Like, it feels like eternity that you're staring at each other. And it's like you're staring at him, and he's staring at you. And you're both waiting and engaging each other to try and see who's going to reach for the check first. And usually, if you're with a gentleman, the guy will reach for it first, you know, and then he'll look at it, he'll see what the damage is, he'll make some kind of joke about, oh, you're a cheap date or something like that, you know, and all will be fine. But sometimes you get the cheapskate dude who's like, oh, well, you know, you see, you had the $14 chicken fingers, and you had the $7, you know, vodka and cranberry. You know, I was thinking maybe you could just pay for the drink. And that's when you're just like, oh, this dude right here, like, you know what I mean? You just want to get up and walk out. But it's like, there's so many things on a first date that people just don't, you don't know how to act, you know, like, you don't know what to do, you don't know what to say, you don't know what to buy and what to eat, you don't know when to pay for the check, like, you just don't know, you know, and it's so, I don't even know why people go on dates anymore. It's so nerve-wracking, and so it's like, what's the point? I'm giving myself an ulcer thinking about this crap, you know, so it's so funny, but it's like, I have been dying, like, if someone can give me a list of, like, date topics to talk about, or, like, even ways to break the ice with the paycheck so that there's not that whole, like, just horrible, like, elephant in the room, because it's like you go on this great date and then you just know sitting in the corner is the elephant, he's looking at you like, yeah, eventually you're going to have to come to terms with me. And it's like you just know it's either going to make or break this date for you, you know, and it's just so funny. But I just feel like there's so many people in the world that don't know what to do on a first date. And I just feel like if everybody knew what they were doing on a first date, we'd be a lot more people in relationships nowadays, you know, like a lot more people would have somebody with them, because a lot of people get shut off at the door with some of the stuff that comes out of their mouth. It's just like, no, I'm done with this whole conversation, this whole date, you know what I mean? It's just so funny. So I wish that somebody would, like, come up with a dating etiquette book or something like that, or, like, Dating for Dummies. There's got to be one of those books somewhere, like one of the yellow books on the shelf just waiting for you. But, like, I just think it would be great. Like, you guys should post comments on this video, too, about, like, what to talk about, or, like, how to break the ice with the date, with the check or whatever. I personally think my bathroom idea is flawless, but, you know, somebody may have something better. But, yeah. So feel free to comment, because I think the world needs to be enlightened. I'm just saying. I mean, I know I could use the pointers.